doubt upon the already build up anger and all this mobilization we have already done to try and water it down. It's not possible to do that right now. So yes, go ahead, Wanjiro and Nelima. Thank you.
All right, I think I'll go first and then Nerima will come in second. I think trust has been broken. We are coming from a place where we have been betrayed time and time again as the people of Kenya by these representatives that are now calling for dialogue. The bare minimums have already been violated, which is upholding the right to life, which is a constitutional right, which is upholding our constitution, our right to protest, which is upholding the dignity and sanctity of the Kenyan people. So I don't think we could even say, if we are going into a dialogue, these are our bare minimums. We already know the outcome of that dialogue. We already know that we have a tone-deaf president. We have an incompetent, hijacked parliament that will not listen to the people of Kenya. So I am in favor of actually impeaching these members of parliament. I am actually in favor of actually recalling them. And I saw that someone in the comment section said that we could actually test the fidelity of the recent IEBC to the Kenyan people or to the presidency based on how recalling MPs is going to go by this new IEBC. I saw that they said they're ready to now work for the people of Kenya. So I am in favor of not resting until we are disrupting the system. We are letting them know that we are still very dissatisfied with how they are violating us time and time again, violating our sovereignty, our constitution. I would have said one of the bare minimums would be to get justice for our comrades. But no, we know they will still be violated because they have completely broken our trust. They have completely hijacked all the institutions that will try and get us justice. So I don't think we are looking to dialogue. I don't think we are even saying these are our bare minimums because these are people we cannot trust. They have acted time and time again against our best interests. They have showed us that these are selfish kind of politics. They're not interested in issue-based politics. They're not interested in moving forward the country. So it's up to us as the young people. I think we have a really great imagination of what Kenya would become. I think we have a really great imagination of what this nation could be for our offspring and those that are coming after us. And we always say that no one is going to birth that country for us. No one is going to bring that much needed change. It has to be us. But why are we not taking being organized seriously? I am a community organizer. I am part of the social justice movement, and I have seen just how powerful it is to come together at that grassroots community level and try and bring whatever meaningful change you can try to do. If we are doing this at a national scale, I believe we would be able to unstuck ourselves from where we are at and wish, as I had said before, we should focus for long-term political change in this country. We are uprooting a system that has been there long-term, a system that is deeply rooted in the Kenyan psyche. It's a work that needs a team, not one individual, not one leader, not one group. We need to be organized at our various communities and whatever type of community we belong to. If it is the church, let's get organized there. If it's the mosque, let's get organized there. If it is our chama, let's find ways to talk about how the politics of Kenya need to change. Yeah, I think that would be my submission for now. Thank you, Abdi. Nerima, please come in. Oh, and I just remembered that I was reading a history book by Professor Maina Kenyati that had actually labeled Dedan Kimathi a terrorist, that had labeled all the Mau Mau fighters who were demanding freedom, land and freedom, and that the British leave our land as terrorists. And this is what we are seeing today with Ruto's government. Young people are now terrorists for fighting for a better nation. How do we dialogue with these people who criminalize us, who kill us, who beat us, who arrest us, who give us ridiculous bail terms? How do we dialogue with our enemies like this? No, we can only organize to take them out. Time for dialogue is over. We don't have any grace we can extend. We just want them out. Nerima.
Thank you, Wanjiru. Yeah, as we bring our sister Nerima too, I think, let's be honest, I think dialogue has become a tired script. We have sat in halls, watched handshake, signed MOUs, then nothing moves. That's 100%. And justice is delayed, reforms are shelved, impunity reigns. So I ask, what concrete accountability measures beyond the political statement can we demand and enforce to ensure uh, responsible for all these actions? What is the bare minimum? Nerima, please take over. Thank you.
No, thank you so much. I think Wanjira has already said everything. I can't even come in and add on to that. She's already mentioned our rallying call. She's already mentioned where we are as a people and what we need to do. And my only job this evening is to emphasize what she has already said, which is so powerful in the fact that we, as the people of Kenya, as citizens, have refused to be muted, to be silenced, to be forgotten, is something that's extremely important in our history. And not only for our history, but for our future. So I would say, going forward, we have to, it's not even a matter of choice. We have to elect members who see our constitution as the rule of law and our way to life. It's not a consideration. It's not, because we have witnessed how this administration, this regime, has done everything that they can in their power to make sure that we are controlled, to make sure that we continue to be minimized, that we continue to remain in a place that we are not comfortable with. And we cannot accept it. And I'm so proud. I am so proud as a young individual, especially as a young woman, because even the women who have spoken today are women who have children, are women who want a better future, not only for our children, our sons, and for the country, where they're able to say these individuals are not people who are holding the rule of law, who are not holding the law in terms of the constitution, and the people to be visualized or seen as citizens. Look, we all went to school and we all read the book that talked about the animal farm. And we knew that others are more equal than others. We are basically pushing for a rule of law that identifies everyone that is under the rule of law. That's it. We don't need a commission. We don't need a dialogue. We don't need a new committee. We don't need NADCO. We don't need a conclave. We don't need it. We're just saying we want everybody to be under the rule of law. We want justice. People who have done wrong to pay. We want services to be visible. We want the resources when it comes to our counties to be able to see where these resources are spent. We want people to be able to pay if they're involved with stealing these resources of the public. And we want to make sure that they don't come into leadership again, so that whatever, who you are, what you stand for as an individual, whether you come out and you say, I have this amount of money, we do not care. For us, it's about what are you able to bring to the people? That is what is important for us. And this generation, this public exists. And I love it when I hear social justice centers from Madare to Dandora. They're all over this country talking about holding leaders accountable. This is the true shift of Kenya. These are the true leaders of Kenya, and these are the ones that we need to support fully and truly.
Asante sana, Nerima. always for your comment. I'll still get in touch with you. Thank you so much. I think you are right. Now is a turning point. The people of Kenya have refused to be silenced. I think that I agree with you. They have refused to be forgotten. I think the cries from the streets are not just noise. They are demand for dignity, justice, and accountability. I think the moment is bigger than any individual. It's about reclaiming our nation from impunity. And to do that, I agree with you. We must organize. We must remain vigilant. We must elect leaders who uphold the Constitution and defend the rule of law and protect the people, not serve the cartels or the dynasties. I think this is a rallying call. Never again will we will outsource our power. Never again will we trade justice for tokenism. Or we are awake and we are not backing down. I 100% agree with you and Wanjira. Thank you very much for your comment. I want to bring in Kasamuel.
Abdi, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we
I can
can hear
hear
you
you
now.
now.
Yeah. So I want to. I said I want to bring Samuel also. I believe he's an ODM youth leader, and we appreciate your presence in this space. But let's be honest to each other. There is a growing sense of broken trust between the youth and the political class, and ODM is not an exempt. From IPPG 1997 to the handshake in 2018 and now the MOU with UDA in 2023, every so called reform moment has ended in elite power sharing, not people centered change. So many questions to you is this: why will we have trust in this new push for intergenerational conclave when ODM track record shows a pattern of transactional politics over transformation action? Is this conclave a genuine attempt to reset the nation or just another carefully staged route back to the table of power? The mic is yours, Samuel.
Thank you very much, Abdi and Hillary, and to everybody who's on this space. Um, First of all, I'd like to acknowledge the work that is happening in Kenya right now. I'm currently away, but I'm I'm very much in solidarity with the work that's happening with the young people, and I tried as much as I could to abstain from commenting or giving input because, as it stands, as you've aptly pointed out, I'm currently a youth leader in the Orange Democratic Movement. And just to answer the question, I will make note that that IPPG, that talk happened when I was born. It happened in the year that I was born. And it seems as though the same issues that were discussed in that IPPG are the same issues that are going to be probably discussed in this push for dialogue. But I will make a case for why I'm for the idea of dialogue. One, there's a growing lack of accountability from either side. And I will say this because the people who we've had the most impactful spaces with, who are these people? It's you guys. We are all still alive. We're all still alive somehow. We are the same people who were in the spaces last year. These spaces were used to organize. These spaces have been used to drive accountability. Um, but we are speaking on the side of privilege. I am speaking from the side of privilege. Being in the ODM is kind of difficult for me, but at least I can say I have insulation. I have some sort of political party protection. However, the reason why I'm pushing for this is at some point we will have to take a stand for the nation. We will have to overcome the prisoner's dilemma. Because if it is not done by the most eloquent voices of the movement, you will have people who do not represent your interests there. And especially if we're dealing with a force that is as influential as Raila Odinga, who has a huge constituency, whether or not we agree with him, whether or not we acknowledge it, he has a constituency. So my perspective was, I know what my irreducible minimums are. I know the things that I want. I know I want the cases that are currently being litigated in court. We're still seeing a killer cop walking a year later. Nothing has happened to him. I want that as an irreducible minimum, that those cases should be sorted out in 30 to 60 days. I want families of victims. I don't know about other generations. Me, I know that last year we went out. I want the families of the people who went out last year to get some sort of reprieve, because you cannot give money to those families. The dreams cannot, we cannot quantify the dreams. Three, I know that for me, the issue I want to fight is just police brutality, because it breaks my heart when I see a lot of young people come out with vim and vigor, go to the streets, and they still get short. And every time we go out, the government finds ways to say that, oh, now these are goons. But then I've not seen. I've been following from abroad. I've not seen any the bodies of the people who are in the mortuaries. Those do not look like goons to me. I've seen the burials. The burials don't look like burials for the goons. So personally, this is the direction I've said. This is what I will do for my country. However, if this is done by a few people, if I find myself doing this alone, I will just end up being that elite that is being spoken about. And so, while we might not find full justice, we might get some sort of reprieve. We might sit down and say, we cannot have people taking women out of border borders and raping them in the streets. I don't think that is a thing that is acceptable in any, like the body politic. It's gotten to the point where now, even when people are not on the streets, people are dying. I saw a girl died last week. She was shot in her home. So whether or not we are on the streets, whether or not we are organizing, we are still gonna get shot. I'm saying that as people organize on the front side of that movement, me now in a political party, I have this rare opportunity to sit down and say, this is exactly what it is that we want. And I'm still saying that I'm removing myself out of it, saying that I want to see what are the irreducible minimums that need to be spoken about, such that while all these other options are being pursued, that this is also another moment that we will not miss out on, because then we can hold them accountable. Then I can say, but I sat and you promised. But we sat here and you told us. You didn't say in the papers, because the interface has been, the communication has always been, the government will see what young people are saying on social media, then the president will go and speak to it in a church. Why then can we not say to him directly and say, here you signed and you said this? So I might not speak to any other dialogues, because this is going to be the first that I intend to participate in. And I'm saying this knowing that a lot of people, a lot of the speakers who've come before me have said that they do not fancy it. And they're not saying that out of malice. They're saying it in good order. But I am saying this as a person who, I also, just the same way you believe in Kenya is the same way I believe in Kenya. I'm saying this as a person I've spent the past couple of weeks in America, and there's no place like home. So I want to live in that place. There's nothing good for me here in America. I have not seen that thing yet, and I've been all over this country. My contribution will be, I will, as eloquently as possible, say that these are the irreducible minimums. That could be a first step for me. That's what I hope to achieve in this dialogue. I cannot speak to the dialogues that His Excellency Baba has had previously, but for this one, this is what I am going into, and I go into a thing with hyper focus. Just the same way I said last year, when the time for me to do politics comes, I will do it. This is the focus that I have. I have certain reducible minimums, the ones that I have stated there. That's what I will go and say. So if there is more, I think that could be a start. As people are organizing, if it can go on, I can also organize on this side. Asante.
Thank you. But I have a question for you, Samuel. Let's be real.
Hmm.
From 1998 up to now, you said you are not even born, but it's historical. The grievances are the same, decades after decades: police brutality, corruption, unemployment, rising cost of living, economic exclusion. So, what will actually change this time? Even if you give you a bare minimum, and all this is the same historical issues that has been there. The elites have been using it, and let's speak directly to the so-called the national conclave agenda being pushed by ODM and UDA. Before we rush into another roundtable of elite dialogue, we need to ask ourselves what happened to the action points in the MOU between Raila and UDA. They promised to tackle youth employment, yet there is no policy shift, no job, no hope. They say they will align the economy for the youth. The cost of living is still rising. Youth remain shut out. They spoke about human rights. Police brutality still exists. and shrinking civic space continues. They talked about committing billions of money to the counties. That is not yet done. They pledged to fight corruption, yet impunity still persists, you have seen. So, what is the national conclave for now? Is it truly about solving the people's problem, or is it laying the ground for another backroom handshake?
Thank you for that question, Abdi. I have to admit it's a challenging question, and so I was taking some time to just think about it. In all honesty, I think it would be unfair to expect immediate change from a party that does not have enforcing power. Yes, Raila is a force that feels larger than life in most governments, but he does not have enforcing power. All he can do is rally, all he can do is mobilize, all he can do is put pressure, but the buck still stops with the government of the day.
But
Um,
did you look at the MOU?
yes, yes, yes. All the 10 points. And
And
I want to speak to that
what
as
what
well.
what will the conclave bring historically?
Mm,
If you look at it, the problems are the same,
yeah,
the issues are the same.
yes.
It's only the monkeys have changed names and parties,
Mm,
but still everything is the same.
uh,
So why do you think now
yeah.
we can have a solution to this problem? Because Kasamuel is on the table now. On the the shoe is on the other side.
Oh,
Do you
oh,
think this will really bring that change, or is another expertise that will be added to the government?
okay, so
Or
let
is
me,
it that
yeah,
Honorable Raila is trying to quell the resistance on Ruto to give him time to mobilize and buy whatever he wants to do?
okay. So on the MOU, again, I will say this that the ODM is not happy. And I've sat with Mzee a lot of times, but I can tell you what I have seen him do on his part. Uh, when he said that he wants youth to be meaningfully included, even in the list that he presented, the PS, the one PS that is 20, in his 20s, he came as a recommendation from this side. I have seen him walk the talk on a lot of these things, and here I don't think I'd like to maybe go into that MOU because I was not part of the people who wrote it, but I have seen him try at the very least. Coming back to this conclave thing, I've had a lot of people say that what we need to do is organize ourselves for 2027. But 2027, I feel, is too far. Is too far that if we let this continue, it will just be every single time young people mobilize, that some narrative will come. People are going to sponsor more goons. People are going to loot people's property. And then desensitize business people. Whenever business people, when this happens to them 5 times and you lose your business 5 times, they'll start being averse to protests. Personally, I think that I am leaning into his political influence. I know that if there's one thing Honorable Odinga knows how to do, is if he says there is going to be a national dialogue, there will be a national dialogue. Previously, I have not seen young people in any of those dialogue spaces. Right now, I spoke with him. I don't know. When I saw the Sabasaba thing, it broke my heart, and I said, I think I will do this as an act of defiance. I want to dialogue the president. I didn't know that that's what he was saying, even locally. So I've been on call with him every single day of this week, telling him that this is what it is. This is what it. I've explained it to him that this is unpopular. One, it is very unpopular. A lot of people are saying that the dialogues, the talks have never led anywhere and they barely bring solutions. But personally, these are the bare minimums, I think. If such a person has shown up and has brought goodwill, and he has said, for example, in his proposal, which is not cast on stone because the dialogues have not begun, and it does not mean that it is him who is going to form it. That is his idea. Part of what I actually shared and said, the youth, if at all it's going to happen, we need to see the youth there. And he said, for example, 40 per county, half of that 40 needs to be 20 youth, and then the 20 should be distributed equally amongst the other groups. If we are, because what I've had permeate the space is people need to organize for 2027, ensure, or we can recall MPs and those kinds of things. So it means that we need to show ourselves as leaders. If the right people do not sit in those places, if the right people do not sit in this slot of 20, we'll just have Sangwenyas who will go and sit at the table and say, Apana, this is what it is. And the talk is going to happen. And then it will go and nothing substantive will come. But I am saying that we have this opportunity where I don't know. I don't know the last time I knew a young man who's just an ordinary person who could call Mr. Odinga and he will answer and he will say, what do you think? So how can we go about this? So while this, I'm not even appealing to, I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but I'm saying there is this unique opportunity that has presented itself that instead of now, Abdi, you holding me accountable, me who has never been elected, who has never stolen public funds, who has never fired a gun, as eloquently as you're putting these issues in this space, you could represent the people of Northeastern. And if at any point of the talk you feel this is incongruent with your principles, you walk out as a matter of principle because that is feedback. And I'm not saying that everybody should participate. In my ideation in my mind, I would wish everybody to participate. But then there are people who say, as a matter of principle, that they cannot dialogue this government. Then we who are in political spaces, who have taken a bit of a hit, let us sit down and do right by our country. It is possible for you to organize a space here. It is possible for you to attend the interviews. It is possible for you to go on the streets. And I believe it is still very possible for you to still be the same principled person sitting across a table across Honorable Odinga and eventually sitting across the president and saying, these are the irreducible minimums. We have written them on social media, but for me, I'm looking at it as a chance to say it in public, and it goes on record that this is what the young people said, and they said it to your face.
Yes, yes. Sorry, putting you on the spot, but you are the ODM youth leader, and you have access to Raila. And how is ODM still? Make me understand. And before I give out the mic to the others, how is ODM still sitting in a government with all the injustices happening under their watch? Look, if Baba truly is not happy with what is going on, why isn't he just bolted out of UDA regime? Because let's be honest, government is not just failing; it is violating the very rule of law ODM once claimed to defend. Here, what we are dealing with: police brutality, extrajudicial killing and disappearances, youth unemployment with economic despair, escalating cost of living with no relief, shrinking civil space attack on the media, weaponizing of the judiciary and selective justice, failure to devolve funds across the country, rampant corruption. The list is endless. Political betrayal maxed as unity, impunity protected by handshake. So why are we still there? Why are we still in bed with this regime if we truly stand for justice?
Abdi, if I were to speak freely, it would be my wish that that we would see ODM, for example, walk out of such an arrangement. However, what comprises of ODM in government? It is the elected members. So while you might look at me, and as a hurt Kenyan, you say that I am currently in government, if you were to look at it rationally, you know very well that I am not. That there is nothing, all the best I can do is speak here on the space. And that's why I'm saying this conclave allows me, it keeps us, as it brings us as close to the elected leaders as we possibly can be before we actually do occupy parliament. Because the people who are
Samuel,
supposed to be
just a
held
minute.
accountable, yeah,
Samuel, a minute, I ask you a question.
yes,
When you tell us that you are not part of the government, we see you with Odinga. Sometimes see you even riding the same, flying in the same plane with Odinga. And we know pesa yake ni handshake. You know that, yeah. So
uh-huh.
everything he does to support you, inatoka kwa serikali. Everything he does to hold your hand, and then we build you. We gave you the platform. We loved you because you are the voice of the youth. Then you saw that it is not enough without the Raila's hand. Then again, you come here and tell us that you actually you feel us. Yeah. Honestly, giving you a space in these spaces, hmm, it's actually a betrayal on those who said we do not want anything to do with the government, anything to do with the people who say shoot at the leg, and then you still continue saying, "Oh, we have a broad-based government covering the same person saying shoot and kill."
I
You're
don't
part of
think
the
so.
broad base.
I,
Yeah,
I,
you are
I,
part of them.
I
Kasamuel,
don't
you are
think
part
your
of
Give
it.
them
analysis
time
is
to
fair.
respond. Thank you.
I don't think your analysis is fair because let's run with your trope and say that I am, for example, in government. Then what benefit do I have joining a space? Because personally, before 2024, my life was just okay. I was, I had it figured out, and right now I could just say, okay, fine. Now with all this fame, I could just decide to run away and go. So while I'm when I tell you I understand, is that I truly do understand because I'm a young person who wants to live in that country called Kenya. I'm not particularly obsessed with leadership. I'm not particularly obsessed with anything. Yes, now I have the access to Honorable Odinga. There are two things I could do with that access. I could choose to be selfish with this access and say that now what I want to do is enrich myself with this access. Because one thing that comes with knowing Honorable Odinga is that you have access to a lot of people to such a wide network. Why, if we are being honest, if this is selfishness, if it is selfishness as you put it, why then would I want to come and jeopardize this by putting myself in a space where I know it is very easy to be embarrassed, where I know it's very easy to be insulted for trends? Like, I I don't need that. What I'm saying is, at this particular point, because I have had people talk about organizing for 2027, I am saying that before then, it is very possible for us to get some reprieve. I have spoken to Honorable Odinga and I've explained what this thing
Samuel,
is. Yes.
sorry for interrupting you.
No,
Sorry, I respect you
no,
a
go
lot.
for it.
Anthony,
Go for
Anthony,
it.
can
Go
you
for
please
it.
No,
wait?
no, just a minute, Abdi, just a minute.
No. Anthony, we don't
Samuel,
do that way, please. Thank
okay. He has allowed me to interject.
you. Okay, go. But we don't work like
Samuel,
that. You know that.
sorry, Abdi. Samuel, sorry, I've broken protocol. I'm going to speak freely to you. As a millennial, I think you're a Gen Z. You've said something truly profound, and I do accept a point when I see it. You have access to Raila Amolo Odinga. And I'm going to send you with a message to Raila Odinga today. And I believe I will be speaking for many. Raila has a lot of influence, and having known Raila, I think, longer than you, I'll tell you this. Raila Odinga has the power to move and shift the needle of this country in the direction that he says. He has proven that from the Moi era to this era. My message to Raila Odinga will be very simple. He has suggested that we have a conclave, a discussion amongst all people. Before he initiates that conclave, the same way his father said, no independence without the freeing of Jomo Kenyatta, I will send you with a message to him. Before we even sit for a conclave, there will be no conclave without the freeing of the 38 young Kenyans today sitting in cells, being accused of being terrorists only because they woke up and stood and marched because they felt this country was not going in the direction they felt. He has suffered the same under the Moi regime. I remember in his book, Ida Odinga said she was kicked out of school because of being away from Raila Odinga. So he can relate. And if any of these young Kenyans, the 38 of them who today will carry the tag of being a terrorist, if the police can prove beyond reasonable doubt that they were terrorists, let them put that proof out there, because so far they have not put any proof. But we do have proof of people affiliated with him who came out and said they will organize goons. If the definition of a government that goons equate a terrorist, then let us start by prosecuting the people who, by their own words, said they will organize chaos. That's number one. Number two, we have a deputy inspector general of police who is complicit and directly mentioned in the death of one young Kenyan called Albert Ojwang. Before August meets, because I know that conclave will happen whether we say it or not, before August comes, ask Raila Odinga, on behalf of many Kenyans and on behalf of the parents of Albert Ojwang and on behalf of all Kenyans, that he should call for the immediate resignation of the DIG of police, because we have more Kenyans who can replace him, as a show of goodwill that the deaths that have happened to young Kenyans, 38 on Sabasaba, 60 on the first of the 20 on the first Mandamano. We are almost clocking 100 young people dead. That man should not be seen anywhere in public office. And my last one, you Kasamo, because I know you said there you talked to Raila, and I'm going to give it to you. The last one, that when people in government stand and say that no, shooting in the legs is just is nothing, shoot and kill them. If Raila Odinga truly believes and he has this nation at heart, I would urge you, Samuel, I would urge you to tell Raila Odinga he's better off out of this government with the people. rather than say, I'm going to negotiate for you, the people, well, inside a government that is killing you. You cannot be with them and with us at the same time. You are either with us against them or with them against us. So if you get that message out, I'll be very happy.
Let me just, I think, respond to that. First of all, thank you. I think you raised very pertinent points, but I feel like you speak to the point which I was saying, that we have. I don't need to say this for you. You can say this to Mr. Odinga himself. One, yes, I'm going to say this. I will tell him, and I will send this, and as accountability, I will. You PM me later. I will show you that I have sent it to him. I will tell him these demands, and these are demands I agree with. I cannot speak to certain misgivings because you might know how, because you know how the political system works. I cannot account for everything that ODM does. But my voice has been consistent. Even when I have seen people who are affiliated to Mzee saying that they are going to organize against, I have spoken against. Mzee himself has spoken against those people. However, I don't want us to look at this conclave because this is where we might get it wrong. If we look at this conclave as as Honorable Odinga negotiating with government on our behalf, we will have missed the point. This is a chance to know, because we know very well that uh, William Ruto's government will not shoot Raila. We know very well that it is only surviving because it rests on on the shoulders of Honorable Odinga. If we have his political influence behind a process that cannot, we can now say, Abana, Honorable Odinga, you called us to this thing, and we are now being killed like this. Because personally, the reason why I'm even speaking about this dialogue thing, and I'm not to impose it, I don't want to impose it to anyone, because the people who are in this struggle have explained very well that these are the reasons why they do not want to dialogue the government. And let me tell you, they should not be forced to. I am just saying, as a person who has seen what this is, instead of using it selfishly for my own good, I am saying that if there are people who are amenable to the dialogue process, come, let us do this thing together and use Mr. Odinga's political influence. Just before we even talk about 2027, there are those 38 people that you're saying are in police cells. Those people, I know very well that if we can account, if we can find where they come from, if we know they come from a particular social justice center and a social justice center tells us this is the member, we can verify that they are not goons. But there's a thing that has been creeping, that out of anger, there are people who can drive, and I can drive this as a hashtag. But when people's children die, people's children are more than a hashtag. Who will we say this person comes from? Because you and I are going to be here tomorrow. Because now, the protests that happened this year, I was not there because I was in America studying. But so now I will not die, but I can amplify. But now, sisi tuta amplify mpaka siku gani? When does it come? When does it get to? Because it gets to a point where we need to do what is right and not what is popular. But as long as it is, I'm sorry, I was saying, as long as it is me alone who's at this table, nitakuwa fatigued. Somewhere down that line, I will be corrupted. Somewhere down that line, I will be shown money, and I will be shown cars and a beautiful house, and I'll be like, you know what? It just doesn't sound too bad. That's why I'm saying, can we have these people of integrity? And I want you to put your sorry, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, loud and
Oh,
Yes.
clear.
I was saying, can you put your integrity on the line? Just the way the dollar is backed by the full faith and credit of the American people. Can can the people that you organize, because I know most of the people I see here are influential people. Speak to your communities. Ask them, first of all, this is what it looks like. That we have a situation where the best political mobilizer, who can, when he says that dialogue is going to happen, has given us a chance where there's going to be 20. Because remember, this is the first time we are hearing what the composition is going to be like before the dialogue process begins. And we are told that 50% of that dialogue process will be youth led. Can you, at the very least, ask yourself, with the people I represent, the people I serve, can I go as a civilian and say these are what those people want? Because Nations are built by consensus. We, especially right now in a world that tells you that the options you have are Rigathi Gachagua, Matiang'i, Kalonzo, Karua, Raila, Ruto. Where do you come in as a young person? When does it become for you? Because remember, these people who are saying shoot to kill, they were not saying it to trees. They were saying it in their home bases. A person says, "Apana rais, do not shoot to maim, shoot to kill," and he's being clapped for by the same constituents who are going to be to vote him back in. That's why I'm saying we might disrupt the presidency, and let's say we kick out this president and we get the best president ever, and we still have a legislature that is made of the same corrupt people. So
Now,
from
Kasamu, we are talking of kicking out the president, right?
right.
What is your action plan now that you have influence? You have the influence in terms of you have a followership of the UDA, I mean ODM youth. What is your action plan? What are you telling us? How do we organize ourselves to come and rally with you to kick out this president?
So personally, I think there's two ways to answer this question. I could answer it as a politician, or I could answer it honestly. Which answer do you want?
Both.
Okay, I will start with the honest answer. With the current state of affairs, as I see things, unless we properly organize behind a force that has national momentum, it might be a bit difficult to kick this man out. Now, the political answer that you want to hear is, if we keep on organizing, if we pressure nicely, if we do this and that, we will remove him. I believe that Ruto can go in 2027. Personally, I think there's a very high possibility. But then who is going to replace him? Are we doing the work? Are we meeting the communities? I know the people, even the people who are mobilizing in the communities, we are not giving support. The people who are doing this thankless job, our watu wenye wako hizi social justice centers akina Wanjira, most of us who are on these spaces don't know what social justice centers do. And it's not because you don't want, it's just that there's so much that you have in your life going on that this is an extra thing. Personally, I think in a political process that has shown up, remember, the 2010 constitution came to us as a result of such a dialogue thing. But also, I'll say an unpopular thing, because I'm already unpopular. I might as well say unpopular things. Kibaki, who is arguably the president who is most favorably looked upon by Kenyans, had a problem being re-elected in 2007. That's the person who the whole country sort of agrees, this one was a great president. But out of out after such horrid situations, there was a dialogue process, and that dialogue process gave birth to what Bomas was, and now we have such a flowery constitution that needs to be implemented. The argument is, we don't need dialogue, we just need the constitution to be implemented. Personally, that's what I said last year, and I've said it for a year and whatnot, and these kinds of things. But a constitution cannot be implemented if the people who are in power do not give it the political goodwill. Currently, the ruling party has shown that them wako tu sawa, they know, the MPs know how they're going to come back. They even said, oh, seen people say they will rig their way back in. But there's this wild card that we have as a people, such that Gen Z cannot be contained. You think you've gotten cars? Apana, then suddenly they're still going. You think you've gotten this other person? Apana, they're still going. We have that, but then now two events have happened that we still have this angst among the youth, and we have political goodwill from the person who the government, we know the government will not shoot this person. Why can't we? Let's say we are being movement centered. Let's just agree that apana, us will just tolerate each other until these irreducible minimums are met. Because personally, I'm tired, and I'm tired of seeing these reports. I'm tired of amplifying. I'm tired of, and me myself, I'm not dying. Me myself, I'm not in that place where that person who has nothing to lose but their miserable life. I'm not in that position. But I can say, at least let them not get shot. At least let this happen. And telling it to Mr. Odinga alone in private does not advance the cause for a country, because I am telling him things that he already agrees with. This national process, it for me, it is just, it is unpopular. Like mimi natukanwa kila siku. Mimi nimetaka kuacha hii kitu like sana and say now I've been set up. Now I can go and study, I can go and look for work abroad and do those kinds of things. But I will not be doing right by the people. I'm saying this, nimeingia hapa ndani nimeona na bado ninaona. I think it can work. There's a lot of hurt. And if you feel like this process, you don't yet trust the process, tupatie, these are the guidelines. Sema ni hivi. This is what we cannot tolerate. This is what we won't accept. Like saizi, 38 people are in jail. We've made noise, we've amplified, but they're still in jail and they're being charged with terror. And then a judge will just look at it and say, hey, guys, I hear you. Like that magistrate was saying, these police are being trained to kill and watakumaliza. He's saying that to one of the frontline human rights defenders. I'm just saying that instead of me just pursuing selfish interest, which is the easy way out, we can do this together. I can tell Honorable Odinga, this is what the youth, these are the ones who are leading in those communities. Let them say it, and we want them not to be killed. Because right now, a blogger is being arrested for drawing a cartoon. Like, I think it's crazy. And for me, I'm being held to a standard which I honestly, I don't know what to do with it. I'm not saying that it is bad to be held to that standard. But hata nikienda, the best I can do is I will call Honorable Odinga and he will pick and he will say, sawa, I have heard. But then his MPs in parliament, wale wenye wamekuwa wakitaka kuingia broad based, because you know, even you see, because you're students of politics, you see what's happening to that party. There are some MPs who are still defending what the people want, and there are some who've gotten really excited. Unfortunately, you can't kick them because they were elected by the people. Now, what do you do as a Kenyan, as a young Kenyan who is unelected, who does not have a position in the chama? How would you approach it?
Okay, we had you. Thank you, Kasamuel Kunyamaji. Meanwhile, I'll bring Wanjiru if she has something to chime in, and then we go to Dr. Kimani and Justice for All, and then we pick it up from there. But I just as you come in later, I just want to make things clear. Let's be honest. The bare minimum have been there for decades. The bare minimum you're talking about today can be uphold the constitution, end police brutality, create job for the youth, lower the cost of living, fight corruption, I don't know, protect the civic space, ensure judicial independence. This has been there. These demands are not new. They are captured in the 2010 constitution, echoed in the reports in the TGRC report, in the BBI, in the NATCO report. So the real question is, why are we still stuck in the cycle of report, promises, and dialogue without no action? So,
My senior, just in 5 seconds, what I'm going to say is, I agree with you. All these things have been there, but we have not been there. And what I am saying is, I am asking for protection. That I have said I am going into this thing. If I go into it alone, and we know that the process will happen. If I go into it alone, I will be lost. You can be there. I want you to be there so that we can be held to the same standard. Tuseme Abdi went and sat down for a country and said this, and that. You sat down with a sitting president. What changed? Because right now, look at how desperate the Kenyan youth is. That we have to depend on one man. It's only one person who's bold enough in the country to say that this is what's needed. Like, why can't we create 10? Why can't we anticipate a situation where hata kama Kasmuel tuseme Kasmuel, we will have lost him, we will still have 20 like him. That's what I'm thinking. Asante.
Sante sana. Wanjiru, pick it up from there. And then we go to Dr. Kimani and then to Justice for All.
Asante sana. I still do not think that we need to be dialoguing. When Kasmal was talking, I just remembered that at the height of the protest last year, Reject Finance Bill protest, we actually held an X space. Someone held an X space here on Twitter, and the president actually attended that X space. And I think that is the closest we could ever get to a dialogue. Every Kenyan, I was at that X space listening in, and I had the heartbeat of the nation. I had the people express themselves fully. I had everybody really, kama ni hasira, kama ni machozi, kama ni justice, kama ni nini. Wakenya walimwaga roho zao kabisa. That was last year. So that was a dialogue between the executive and the people. And 365 days later and more, we are actually in a worse situation than we were before that dialogue. Now young people are being charged with terrorism. So I still do not think that Casmel coming here to tell us that we should join that dialogue is like the only window we have. We we can't see any fruit that that dialogue will bear other than buying time for 2027, other than, normalizing things. Because right now the country is angry at a president who gives shoot to kill, I shoot to maim orders, at a judiciary that is criminalizing the young people. So I still maintain that we should organize ourselves to uproot this system. I don't think we should now listen and say, fine, let's dialogue. What are we talking about? What are we saying that you don't already know? Why do we need to sit down and talk for you to say that young people should not be killed in this country? Why do we need to sit down for the constitution to be upheld? What is it that we are going to say in this dialogue that we have not already said over and over again, that we have not already demanded? We have demonstrated young people have been killed. So what is this conversation about, Casmore? What is new about this conversation that has not been done in this country? What is special about it?
Wanjira,
Kasami, before you go on, let's have other speakers, and then
Let
maybe.
Wanjiro finish, please, and then we have the order, and then we can really. Because Samuel will bring you back. Let's have a couple of speakers. Just keep taking points. Have a cup of water, and then we will still get back to you. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that we did expect that she will come and back Baba's idea of what we should be doing, but we're done. We're tired. We don't need it. We don't think it's going to change anything. Yeah, that would be my submission.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you go, Tabi, and then whatever you want to add, and then we go to justice. We go to Dr. Kimani, and then justice for all, and then we cycle about, and then we have Marvin, Maverick Wycliffe after. Thank you.
Mavericks first, then Cos Tutor, then Dr. Kimani.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I hope that the day has been good to you, and that regardless of whatever we are going through as a country, that God has been good to you. And I just want to start by saying that the word irreducible minimum, it got destroyed for me by Raila. Because he always comes in and then he says that he has a list of irreducible minimums in order to work with whichever government it is. And those irreducible minimums are never kept. And we as Kenyans keep being oppressed, as we see right now with Ruto. He's forgotten the points that they gave, and then now he wants to have another dialogue. So my view of Raila is that he's an oppressor that is disguised as a messiah. So that is why I become a little skeptical when he says that we need a dialogue, and thinking that he would be one to lead that dialogue. I don't trust that man. I'm sorry, Casmuel. Now, however, as a nation, I believe that we need a dialogue. We need a dialogue that is led by the civil society, a section of the church that we trust, people from the movement that we trust, and some other organized groups. Because, of course, we're gonna have to sit down and talk and decide for a way for the nation. Now, another thing that I'd like to talk about is, I think slowly we've been losing focus because we've put our entire focus on Ruto. And I mean, Ruto is a problem, but I don't think that he's the main problem. I hold the view that our biggest problem is parliament. Because for us to remove Ruto, for us to skip the part where we have to go to the streets and become shot on the leg or killed or uh, just to be maimed. For us to skip that part, we need a member of parliament to table a motion of impeachment. But you see, when we are talking, we start saying that, parliament cannot do it, it will not happen, parliament is completely bought. I don't believe that story. Parliament sucks. But however, I believe that we need to get one of these opposition MPs because they say that they're with the Gen Z, we see them in rallies and all that. We need them to table a motion of impeachment because as things stand, I don't believe that we can wait up to 2027 while we've had the president declaring on national television that if you see protesters, shoot them on the leg. He's clearly telling the police to kill us. That man cannot kill us and still want to lead us. He has to go. And right now, as things stand, I always remember this the adage that says that you strike when the iron is hot, and the iron is hot. No one can come and tell us that, tuvumilie tu, tungoje tu kidogo mpaka 2027. No. While we are doing that, Parliament is busy passing the NGCDF. They want to change the constitution to enshrine that CDF so that they have money for campaigning. They are looking at 2027. They are preparing so they can go to the gullible Kenyans, the group of Kenyans that we're actually trying to finish through civic education. So we cannot give them time. We cannot allow them time to organize. No, we have to start pushing for that motion of impeachment to be tabled. And then we start organizing. And we organize to hold the members of parliament individually accountable. We start putting forward their phone numbers, their public servants, their phone numbers, their emails, their home addresses. So if we are going to talk to anyone, it's to them directly to ensure that they help us to remove this person because these members of parliament, they live among us. They live in our estates, they live in our villages, and if they don't do what Kenyans want, they'll have to leave the country. I believe that that's the only way we can be able or that's one of the way anyway, that we can be able to set a new precedent because it can't be that you do what you want, you call for Kenyans to be killed, and then you still get to finish your term. That's maybe even supposed to finish in 2026. No, Ruto has to be held accountable. So this is the type of organization that I think that we need to set our minds on, because power resides where the people believe it is, and right now the power is with the people. The power is not with Raila Odinga, even if he's always had power to call for national dialogues and handshakes and all that. No, the power is with us right now, and it's time that we start exercising it in a way that we best know. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. I think we are also on the top of the hour. So we go to Dr. Kimani, right? And Justice for All, before we cycle back to Kasamuel and Wanjiru. And then go ahead.
Yeah, Abdi, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Thank you so much. And I want to salute all the people that have been speaking on the space tonight. But I have a few questions, maybe to Samuel. And congratulations on the program that he's doing at the moment in the USA. And maybe he can remind us when he was elected member of the youth wing of the ODM and all that. And then I also think I don't want to say he is naive at the moment, pushing a thing that is not even pushable. Because when I think about this thing called dialogue, We have not only had dialogues in that country called Kenya, we have even had International Prayers Day. So if people even talking to God is not changing anything, what will dialogue change? The dialogues that we are also talking about here are dialogues that are going to be with people who are selectively going to be representatives of those old minds. We do not want that kind of a dialogue. The ship left the dock long time ago. We cannot and we will not. It is important that you understand that. Initially there was a time ODM that was, an epitome of people representation. It has since stopped being, especially with people like Kalumainet. It therefore means that is not should not even be even on the table as of now. Why should we have it in the moment? We have had town hall meetings with not only with the opposition but with the president himself, and people were asking him, President, you are a graduate. You are here telling us we are going to create jobs for you, but the jobs he's talking about are jobs about creating and constructing houses which are seriously formulated on very bad policies. One of them is, invading people's whatever we call pay slips, and then forcing people to go do those jobs, and then where I don't remember how many graduates are there that have gotten those kind of jobs. I don't understand when we talk about dialogue that will bring, what will that dialogue bring to the people who have got no jobs? What will that dialogue bring to the people who have got no money to go to the hospital? What will that dialogue bring to the people who cannot take their children to school either because they have no money? Because I understand, before you go to some of these JSS schools, you have to bring your own desks and I don't understand where we are at the moment. And when we are talking about Babarelo Odinga, with all the due respect, having him to come and have this kind of a dialogue with all that is involved, how it's going to change uh, the way people are being, taken from Kenya to Saudi and other places to become slaves. Let me put it that way. I don't understand, and if I do understand, then my understanding must be very wrong, because these are not new issues. They are issues that are known. But if no one is willing to do them, they will never be done. And therefore, we'll continue talking and talking and talking. It therefore behooves that time for conversations is gone. And as I stated in my first and my opening submission, is that we must reset. And the resetting is happening now here. We do not need other dialogues. I am capable of doing whatever I'm able to do to put my people from one point to the next with integrity and with everything that is desirable to make sure that they live a dignified life. Customer, one more thing, I think you might have a very tough time explaining yourself. You might have good intentions in whatever you want to do as a politician, as a young leader, but you have already infected yourself by joining the movements and leaving the movements. But I don't think in all manner of, so I took you seriously at the beginning, but I don't think I do take you seriously anytime now, irrespective of how best I would want to do that. I don't think I would do that, and I'm telling you this as a young, as you being my younger brother. I don't think and I think I'm not the only person in this world
Let's
who
keep it,
have
let's
the
keep it
same
issue
ideas.
based,
But anyway,
Terry.
as I come to the end, I don't do personal politics. I think I just want to submit and I say, time for conclave, time for dialogue is not there at all. We don't want it at all. Please, no.
Asante sana Daktari. Before we go to justice for all, I think let's keep the conversation respectful. As Samuel has also clarified, he doesn't work for the party or the government. He simply has access to the party leader and is sharing his personal views on issues. I think he's not speaking on behalf of anyone. Let's engage with in that perspective of context, which he will still clarify. Justice for all. The mic is yours.
I want to appreciate you. Thanks, Abdi. Thanks, Hillary. And let's not call. Let's talk. Let's talk Kenya. Tabi, Saina. Thank you for hosting, and appreciate every contribution that has been made, including Kashmir. Thanks for being here. I will restrict myself to probably what I think is wrong with the call by Raila Odinga for what is calling a conclave or intergenerational national conclave. And then my second point, I will give an highlight of which national dialogue that I think I appreciate that has been successful in one of the countries that most of us are aware of. And I will conclude by what I think needs to happen. I want to really speak that when I saw the call by Raila Odinga that we have a dialogue, without even thinking too much, the first thing that came to my mind was this is a government that is calling people to come together and buy time while they're strategizing to do something. I didn't even take 2 minutes to come up. I mean, my mind to switch in that direction. The reason is I've been conditioned because of the association between Raila Odinga and the government of the day and what has been happening. And sometimes is you know how long it takes to speak out on some of the evils that we have faced in the country and the kind of a person that he has become over time. I remember uh, for us back in I think it was the year 2000 when we got involved with him, and of course, campaigning 2002 when we voted and all that kind of time. So we have known him over time, but then it looks like he's become a totally different person. So my first thought process was that he is not Raila speaking. This is the government speaking, either through association, and obviously there's that bias and about that. So I found that as a partisan call for dialogue, which, in my opinion, if I was part of the advisors that he probably ran this through, I would have said, yes, you have conceived the idea, but is there a way to try to clean it up so that it looks like it's a little bit more non-partisan so that it's more embraced because we have people that have already associated you with the challenges that we are facing, especially the young people. So that, for me, was the first failure of that. And then I thought that maybe if he had conceived this, he should have probably hidden it to the point that he has a group of across the board. Let's talk about maybe different groups, civil society, religious leaders, academia, whatever, call it, that would come together and probably say that now we are calling for this. They would still face a backlash because who appointed you to be our leaders to do this? But still, it will not look like it's a one man person that is calling for this. And there are many other things. So when I look at that, I find that he blocked many people from getting the message of the dialogue to actually looking at him as the person. So the person of Raila stood in the way that it became so difficult for us to get the message. Or personally, let me personalize this so that it's easier to make my submission. It blocked Raila blocked me from getting the message of what he's calling us to do. And I thought that is really something that could have been cleared. You know, the things that you do that becomes noise to somebody's ears, so that whatever you say doesn't even go through. And that's how I looked at it. That's how I thought about it. But then the message itself for the dialogue and all that. The question is, um, do I support that we need a dialogue? Don't I support it? Since this was called, I've tried to be in other spaces, especially with the young people, the Gen Zs and all that. And the passion with which they are opposed to this brings this question to my mind. Who did Raila Odinga have in mind when he's calling for this dialogue? if they probably in this case, and all of us are aware of this, maybe the Gen Zs are the ones started this kind of movement. All of us, I need is Gen Zote at the moment. Did he have the Gen Z in mind? Is there something would have done differently, groundwork, to be able to at least feel like it's either comes from them or there's a way to harmonize this in the way that it can be communicated? But these things are a little challenging to understand because it's possible there's a lot that went into it before he announced. But then that reminded me of the protest in France in the 2018. I think most of you saw what happened about the. I think it was about the must have been a gas tax. Is it called what the taxes about the oil hike and all that? So the one lady comes up with a video on Facebook, a French woman posted because there was a hike in the prices at the pump. People started organizing online. It became a big protest that by from the October of 2018 to November 17 of 2018, over 280 people protested demanding for increase in wages, the issue of better pensions, lower taxes, and stuff like that. A week later, it became very violent. Clash with the police and property damages and all this kind of stuff. Now, what the immediate intervention, as I get, Abdi, just give me 3 more minutes. I will probably want to land on some point. A week later, what happened? There were over 130 people injured as they started now demanding for the resignation of Macron. What happened? The immediate reaction, I think 3 days later, was that the fuel taxes were suspended for at least 6 months. But did they stop the protest? No, they wanted a little bit more. A week later, the Macron addresses the nation. Of course, it increases 100, I believe it's euros per month to boost the minimum wage, the tax relief for the pensions, overtime exemption for that. Now, what I'm trying to arrive at this is that this protest continued until the national conclave we are talking about was called in January 13 of 2019. And it was actually called, funny enough, it was called Transform Anger into Solutions. Transform Anger into Solutions. I lounge the topics and whatever it's going to be covered. To flash forward, is that they held so many meetings, 10,000 local meetings, 2 million submissions online. Everything was done. And later on, of course, all these things were permanently suspended. Now, what I'm finding difficult with this kind of call for dialogue is the issue of people know exactly why people are protesting and going to the streets, and then they are calling for a dialogue when those things are in place. The most logical thing that I would have expected is that if you're going to be genuine about calling for a dialogue, then at the very minimum, if you cannot do away with those taxes, the housing levy and all these kind of things, at the very minimum, suspend them for a period of either 6 months or 1 year while we're having the dialogue, or whatever period amount of time. Do away, suspend all this calling for the young people and all the Kenyan people to be shot at and others to be killed. Make sure that you're going to rain on your people, especially this kind of surrogates who are going everywhere, trying to talk trash like Kenyans don't matter, Kenyan lives don't matter. So my suggestion is that in the way the things are in the country, it is so difficult for anybody, or especially young people, to believe that this is a call in good faith to dialogue. Why? Because they know that this dialogue needed because of some things, but still they're in place. Using the executive order, these things can be suspended so that when we walk in, if we're gonna get into the dialogue, all these things have stopped. At least the things have come back to some level of normalcy, and then the conversation can be had. But then the question is to talk with who, on what, and how. I will land by saying there's a need to re-engineer this clarion call. I do support that at some point we will end up having a dialogue. Reason is looking many places, whether it's place where we have had genocide in Rwanda, looking to other places, dialogues will be had. The only problem is that you can either have dialogue before bloodshed or you have dialogue after bloodshed. From the look of things, Ruto is not wired in any way to stop the hardline position that he has taken with these kind of minions. So what is going to happen is we have to make up our mind. The dialogue we will have, but on whose terms, how, and when. I pray that we all continue rethinking that this nation is bigger than ourselves. I do appreciate all the comrades in here for the great work that you continue doing. Thank you.
Asante sana. Hillary, are you still there?
Yeah, thank you so much. I've been struggling to hear you guys, but also thank you so much, Kasmula. I see you. I see so many people. Let us do this. I think we have so many people who want to talk, and also there's so many lines here. Please, when you have time, just take a little bit. I've been struggling to hear you guys, and I don't know what is happening. Nukabel, take it up, and then Josephine, then Steve, in that order. At least, happy to see you guys. Yes, and give way forward. What is the action plans? Thank you so much, Jukabel. Go ahead.
Thank you, Hilary. Thank you, Abdi, and thank you for all the speakers who put their points across. I am of the belief that you cannot join a rotten system and expect to change it. When ODM joined the Kenya Kwanza government, they had these irreducible minimums that they had listed, and since they joined that government, the very government has kept on breaking those irreducible minimums, and yet they are still in that association. So it tells me that they are birds of the same feathers. So, Casmuel, I don't want to make this a conversation about you personally, but I can tell you that there's no change you're going to bring in ODM, because the system in there, and I say this as somebody who has been a party member of ODM since 2007. You're not going to change anything there. And I quit that party last year the moment they joined this government, a party that I believed stood for social justice and the rule of law and everything. Yet they decided to join a killer regime. It's not the business of ODM to support a collapsing regime, because our constitution has structures. If a government collapses, there are ways and things that can be done to make sure we have a transitional government before we have elections or appoint a new government. So ODM, UDA, whether UDA still exists, to me right now, they are just the same. And even when you see some of their party members speaking in different voices, they are just trying to cover their asses. They will come and say, oh, Kaluma was saying this, but me as SG, or me as a party chairman, or me as treasurer, I was talking a different language. Now they will pretend that they have democracy to have their members speak. But when these very members joined William Ruto immediately after election, they were summoned and they wanted to be chased out of the party. So it's all useless. When it comes to dialogue, I don't dispute that we need to dialogue. But let me tell you the kind of dialogue we need. We need the president to dialogue with the police to stop killing people. That's the dialogue that we need. Go speak with the police and tell them it's your role to keep law and order, and keeping law and order doesn't mean shooting innocent people. The kind of dialogue we need is with EACC and the judiciary, that we cannot have corruption cases taking 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, some even a lifetime. Yet we pay you guys every month. The DPP, that's the kind of dialogue we need. The banks, how can we have the cost of credit coming to below 10% so that young people and entrepreneurs can have easy access to credit? That's the kind of dialogue we need. But the kind of dialogue that these people are proposing is the one to keep us at bay.
because this cheese moved last year, and in every space we've been since last year, that has been the language. The cheese moved. Yes, there are still some people who they can control with their narratives and whatever, but this thing moved. And I believe that there's a critical mass of Kenyans who now have started believing in themselves and are probably realizing that we've been caged for so long, but now we have a voice. We have a voice and we can do the right thing. Because it's one thing to constantly wail that, oh, we have bad leaders, we have bad leaders, we have bad leaders. But now we are finding our voice and we are finding it collectively. The rallying call about tribalism, negative ethnicity, if you ask me my individual opinion, I don't think that tribalism is a problem in Kenya, because tribalism is it's a whipping tool used by politicians when they've lost the plot and now they need to find something to create the us versus them narrative, and that's why they resort to it. Because as far as I remember, when I look at the president, is from Kalenjin, the DP is from Taraka, the DPM is from Vihiga, the other guy is the speaker is from Bungoma, the majority leader, the minority leader, Migori and Kiambu and so on. So at that level, they are speaking of unity. So if they're united up there, what makes them think that we are divided down here? Because even in this space, we are from different communities and we all agree that what we want is a better Kenya. That's what we want. We don't want I don't care where my president comes from. I don't care where my Speaker of the National Assembly comes from or where the Chief Justice. I don't care about those things. But we've been made to think about those things that are important. That if you have a speaker of the National Assembly, or if you have a deputy president, that that suddenly your life will be good. Isn't it yesterday that we were seeing those old women? Was it in Moranga or in Meru who were building a road by themselves? They are almost over 70 years. Yet, if we go by the fact that the presidency has been in central Kenya or in the Gema region for over 30 years, then what have they benefited? So we need to move beyond that language. So the conclave that Baba is calling, that is called, I call it emotional management. They want to manage this thing so that they buy time and then they find a way of twisting it. Because number one, how are you going to settle on those 40 people? How are you going to settle on the agenda? And for all of us here, there's always a famous saying that if you want nothing done, take it to a committee. Because what it will be, it will be a place where people will be earning per diem, eating lunch, and then discussing other things. And then the committee will retreat to Sarova White Sands to write a report. And then just like the many reports that we've had in this country, it will land somewhere gathering dust because itapitwa na wakati. My rallying call to the young people is that we know what we want and we know what we don't want. Yeah. What we don't want is these career politicians. What we don't want are these people who have been in power since multipartyism started. Because since even some of them have been in politics even before some of us were born. Yet we are now politically conscious and they are still there. So what we need to do is to just get rid of them. And the first way the easiest way of getting rid of them is just ignoring them. Let's do our things. Let's organize ourselves. Yeah, we know what we need to do. Get voters cards, get IDs, talk the language that brings us together. Talk the language that informs everyone about the desire and the nation that we want for our children and our grandchildren. Because I know many young people here, there are so many of us here who probably you cannot get married and you want to get married, but the economic, your pocket says no. There are some of us here who are married, but you can't have children because your pocket says no. There are some of us here who are thinking of, oh, I'm tired of living in this single room. I want to move to a bed sitter or to a one bedroom, but your pocket says no. Those are the things that Those are the things that are really, really, really collectively disturbing us. Not that Wanjiru is a Kikuyu and Japuonji is a Luo and Hillary is a Luya and that Nyokabel is a Kisi. Those are not the things that are bothering us. The things that are bothering us are
You want
the way we want to improve our lives. Those are the things that are bothering us. And so if you want us to sit in a conclave because you politicians have messed up this country and yet you still want to be at the seat of the table, because who is going to lead that talk? Is it going to be the president or is it going to be Raila Odinga? Eh? Who are they going to nominate to lead that talk? Who is going to bail the cat? That's the biggest question. Yeah. Yeah. So it's nonsense. Above all, as I learned, Abdi, above all, we already have a great constitution. This document, the 2010 constitution, has never been fully implemented because the two people that have gotten into power after we approved this document were anti this document. Yeah. So all we need is a leader who will come in and say, Article 1 of the Constitution says this. Article 2 of the Constitution says this. Article 3, up to the last article, what does it say? Can we implement it to the latter? Then, once we start implementing it fully and the way it's supposed to work, then the things that don't work, then we can have a dialogue about the things that don't work in that constitution, then we can change them. Otherwise, hakuna haja ya kuongea. Sisi tujipange, watu wakutane kwa debe, and then we will see who wins. That's it.
Thank you so much, Nukabel, and we really appreciate that and your views. But you have called for young people or for the people. The action point is chukua kura, uh, verify yourself so that unaweza vote, and also think wisely. And I think as Will said, I think I hear him that who next, who should come. We need to think on that and also be ready to pick up this thing. Oh, Josephine. You'll be here for a while.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Go ahead. Yeah,
Can you hear me?
very well.
Thank you. I salute everyone who has just spoken. And yes, first and foremost, I would want to thank everyone for taking this opportunity to deliberate on this at this pressure point of our nation because it's very, very key. And I want to start first to say this. Actually, we cannot go and sit down with a person who has killed over 500 people in the last in the last 1 year. Let's say that. So if we cannot sit down with such a person, what can we deliberate about? Because hurriedly, actually, the people he has brought around him, he is hurriedly using them, even now to advise him on what to tell us, while he told us last year that we cannot advise him. He had a PhD, now he's being advised by the likes of Kinajo, so that he can start complaining. We had so and so in power, we had so and so in power, you had so and so in power, and you never complained. Fellow Kenyans, the truth is, even Laila coming in and pretending to call for dialogue, actually they've realized we are not going to back down, and we are going to ensure that actually come 2022 hata yule nyanya wa mashinani atakuwa anajua ya kwamba Ruto astahili, Ruto ni muovu na anaenda nyumbani. And that's why Kasmuel is being sent here by Raila to come and tell us and convince us, which we are not going
Josephine,
to accept.
Josephine. I think I don't cut you, but I think as pressure point team, I don't want to believe anybody's hand here. Number two, I want to
Okay,
believe,
thank you.
yeah,
I
and
will
number two,
know
I want
that.
to believe that let us not divide our attention. There are so many things that have been happening here to divert our attention. Juzi president alisema kwamba watu washutiwe miguu. Sahii sijui dialogue, sahii watu walichange nayo ni Kinuthi and everything. Where are we heading to? Are we still in the same course as pressure point team? And that's what we want to hear. Are we still on the same way, the way we started, or we are now getting into their song? Are we the same people, or we are now different? Yes, Johnson.
Thank you. I withdraw that, but what I'm trying to say is very important. I want to say this. We have to keep our focus, and our focus is very clear and very categorical. If we will ever bed down to go for the dialogue and all these things, actually we will be betraying the many young people who have already been killed, because their voices will never be heard, and what we decided to go out there and fight for will not be attained. Because right now, actually, they are trying to look for a way to make sure that we actually buy time to 2027, so that when we go to the elections, people are confused and people think Ruto is the only person who can be elected again. So what I can say is that, can we keep our focus? No dialogue. Anybody who thinks that they can do something for this country, Ruto knows it very well, and it's very clear in his mind. He has decided, instead of reviving the factories which have been locked down in the country, which are supposed to give jobs to the young Kenyans, who are so many, over 75% who are jobless, he decided to continue actually issuing licenses to people to continue importing things instead of reviving our companies. So he knows what we want, he knows what we expect from him, but the other day he said it clearly. He cannot give jobs to the youth. Yet when he was campaigning, he kept on telling us that. And I remember here in Mombasa, in Mbaraki, we were there with him. And I raised the issues to him of reviving the factory so that they can absorb and employ as many youth as possible. But he pretended, and after that, he turned a deaf ear, and he continued allowing people to be licensed. Once you license a single entity to go and import, their company will only employ less than 50 people. And that 50 people will only be the people from his family, maybe one person from his friends. So where will the rest of Kenyans go? Right now, as we are talking, I am shocked to see even our judiciary right now, corruption is coming back again. And we are here seated. We have to keep the focus. We have to keep people who can own up the integrity of our constitution, protect our constitution, and create anything that is required by the citizens of Kenya. And more so, personally, I believe once factories are revived and the people are employed, all these issues will be secondary. But as at now, the corruption is on its top gear, because they are actually sourcing for money for campaigns. They are not actually interested in that. Remember, when you are being given 200, 500 shillings so that you can vote somebody, one thing you need to remember, it's very simple, that actually what you are doing, somebody has decided to make you a criminal so that he can rule you, and his children he can pay way for his children to come and rule you, because they have just actually they have just badmouthed you to and turned you to a criminal. So fellow Kenyans, can we remain on our focus?
Okay.
Can we stand firm and ensure that we don't allow anyone to make us look like we are bad while we are good, but did not get the opportunity to grow and get the opportunity actually to get what we deserve as
Thank you
Kenyans?
so much,
Thank you.
Josephine. Kasmuel, I want to give you a point, but I want you to answer this question, bro. We've seen you last year. You were championing the Gen Z movement, and people were supporting and everything. And in between, we are seeing that now you're supporting uh, the people who didn't come on the board and were pushing these things. The question here is just simple, because we know your stand, you know that you're leading the DM youth leader and everything. Do you still believe on where we started or where the movement started? Do you still believe on the course? And if you believe on that, what are the point plans? What are the plans and the action points?
Thank you, Hilary. I'll answer that and maybe three other pertinent questions that were asked. One, if I did not believe in what we are trying to do as a country, I would not be in this space. Sorry, Hilary, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I
I can
realized.
hear you.
Okay. I
Yeah.
thought my mic was off. I was saying that if I did not believe in the work that the youth are doing for this country, I would not be in this space. And I said it because earlier somebody said that now I'm under Honorable Odinga, and I said that anyone who knows or has been close, because several speakers have spoken here and have said they've seen how the system works, you know that if you're close to Honorable Odinga, you have access to resources, you have access to a wide array of networks. Now, if I did not believe in this work, I would not need to do that, because the easy thing to do is just lean into those networks and disappear. Because I don't think there's a Kenyan who wakes up every single day being willing to be insulted every single day, to be misquoted, to be a subject of propaganda. So, one, I still firmly believe in the work that we're trying to do. But I will tell you the thing that I do not believe in. I said, Hillary, you organized spaces last year. That was your contribution to the movement. You're still here. I participated in the spaces, and a lot of the people who I saw participating, people who've spoken very eloquently, we were all in those spaces last year. And we are still in these spaces this year. And I thank God. But we are still alive. We keep on saying that let us push forward. But when people die, who sent them? We say that they have nothing to lose but their material conditions. And I agree. And we say that, okay, we do not want dialogue. But I'm saying these people are being killed even in their homes. Last week we saw a young girl die. I'll not even dwell on that. I've seen women being taken off border borders and raped. I will not dwell on that. The thing which I'm saying now is we have the critical mass. And we have one thing we did not have last year: the influence of an influential politician who cannot be shot. I'm saying the reason why I'm talking about this dialogue, and anyone who's heard me say it, I've said that one, I have made myself abundantly clear that personally I will participate in the dialogue, and my reducible minimums are on areas to do with police brutality and justice for protesters. I can only speak for my generation. Then I'm hoping that somebody else who understands that audit better can do that and all those other things. But the other thing I can say is I could decide to join the comfortable side of the Orange Democratic Movement, which is the praise and worship side. That side has very little consequence. Then my life is not in danger. I'm not being hunted by the state. But I am still here saying that I had my sister, who's an amazing community mobilizer. We might have had differences, but I have to give it to her. Wanjira saying that what we need to do is to prepare for 2027. But by Jove, people are still gonna die. But she exists in a system which believes that the most important things we can make of women is tell them, angalia huyu, ebu angalia nyuma udansia, is showing people their behinds. That's what we believe women are good for in this political space that I am saying. That while the dialogue, I know we've had dialogues, but we as the young people have never gone to that table. That's one. But two, it gives us the power of institutionalism, where we can sit down and say, because people have argued that we've had a town hall meeting with Ruto, but we didn't write anything. That was a photo op. But if we say this is a process that could go, this is us invoking Article 1 with a political force that we know will not be shot in the leg. Honorable Odinga will not be shot in the leg by a police because his constituency cannot allow it, and the president, like I said, this government is surviving on his shoulders. I think, and I'm not. This is the hard thing to do. I could stay here in America and say that, oh, I want to do all these things. I want to make a shit ton of money. I want to get a higher education and just recline into private life. But I am just asking that those who can, because if a national process is started and the youth, because there will be youth who will be interested in that process, but it would be unfair if it is only the people, if it is the people you don't believe are supposed to be doing that process, if you do not rise up, because what we're doing now is dialogue. There are very many people who disagree with me here, but we are sitting down and saying, Apana, here, I don't agree with that point you've said. And I think we're being fairly respectful. Personally, I just think that there are those things, the 38 people who are sitting in cells. We could have that as an irreducible minimum, saying that we will not sit down if those people are not out. Cases 1 to 60 that are supposed to have been dragging since last year, if those are not prosecuted in 3 months, in 60 days or less, we will not sit down. We can have irreducible minimums before the process begins and say this is what it is. But us, we are the privileged ones. We are the ones with data and smartphones, and we can afford to live to see another day. But how long will the poor man's child be killed? Does the poor man's child have that insurance till 2027? Personally, I have it. Niseme haya. Now, I was not around. I could not be shot because I'm in America. A lot of the people speaking here are also in foreign countries. But what are we doing? Who's taking the accountability? Who's saying that today I led people to the streets and they were killed by the police? I cannot tolerate this. We keep on saying that we are this, we are that, but we are not. What are we doing for the poor man's child who keeps on dying? Who keeps on being jailed and locked up? I'm not saying that dialogue is going to change the country's administration. The MPs are such a big problem, but I'm hearing everybody from across the divide. I even had the Emeritus Chief Justice say that we will need to sit some sort of reprieve. I'm just saying, what if we sit down? Because the political class just wants an emotional population. Whether or not the emotion is good, as long as we are emotional, they can know what to do with the emotion. They can know what narratives to shape, what us versus them narratives. But when we sit down, we can say that on this particular day, we sat down as the young people, and it was in writing. And the president promised this or not. Because the other one, he might say it is hearsay. It's just like people, you've seen them deny. People, we've seen photos and videos and audios of corruptions, of shootings, of whatever, but people still say it's hearsay. Personally, I believe this can be achieved. As we organize for 2027, we are saying that, oh, we feel like dialogue is emotional management. But what are we? Because we are dying. Is death better than sitting down and saying, do not kill us? Because personally, I have never been in such a table. Now I have the rare opportunity to sit down and to stand and be counted. And I think it is not an unfair proposal where 50% of the conclave will be young people. Then the other 50 distributed across, because I've had another person say that civil societies should also be included, the church, but that's exactly what the conclave is suggesting. So if we sit down, I'm just saying, if the best minds can sit down, ensure everyone puts their best foot forward and say that we will fight for justice in this country. We will do whatever it is that it takes. But us sitting down, dialing in from foreign countries, we know we have security and those kinds of things. Who's fighting for the poor man? Apart from leading the poor man to their constant death, what are we doing as citizens to keep them alive? Because already we know we can go for protests. And who says that if the dialogues are not satisfactory to us, that we cannot go to the streets? Because we've shown that we can do that. Why can't we use this unique opportunity where we have the masses and a critical mass, and we have this insurance that we know the government, as rogue as it is, we know it will not shoot this person. The same way it is resting. Yes.
Yeah. So my question is it time to stop inventing new dialogues and manufactured conclaves? Instead, demand the full, faithful implementation of our constitution and existing reforms and blueprints like the Momas draft, the TGRC report, the Dungu report. All these,
Yes.
do you think push for a dialogue is genuine or just a
I
strategy
I
to lie to
actually, I am
public
with
today?
you 100%, Abdi, that these things need to be implemented. And we can even say, before a dialogue happens, we need to see the implementation of these things. But I need to remind you that the Emeritus Chief Justice declared these parliaments unconstitutional. We even have a court ruling at the apex court saying that a parliament that does not honor the two-third rules is an illegal parliament. But we still have this parliament running. We still have these MPs. They're the ones who are shitting in our faces, saying that apana, piga risasi uweue, piga risasi sijui ufanye hivi. It's still those same people. And then what are we doing waiting till 2027? Why can't we do? Because I believe it's a time to do right by the country, not what's popular. For me, that's what I'm saying. I might be unpopular, but this thing, if we leave it in the wrong hands again, people will reap where they did not sow again.
I hear
So
you. I hear you,
thank you.
bro.
That's quick. So, Samuel, why has ODM become the praise and worship choir of the regime that continues to brutalize its people, betray reforms, and ignores the cry of the youth? Where is the voice of resistance they once claimed to embody? Or is it, it's always a transactional? Now, do they have a seat at the table? The people can bleed in silence. What do you think? Why don't they just bolt out of this pact, if at all the 10-point agenda of the MOU even cannot be met remotely?
Abdi, I'll tell you the truth. There are people who are in ODM because it was the most convenient vehicle to power. They don't believe in these rights. And you see the party. There are people who keep on speaking on behalf of the people. There are people who keep speaking on behalf of the regime. And ODM is such a big animal that I do not fully understand it. But I'm telling you that I believe in this thing. And Honorable Odinga also believes in it. It's possible. It's very, very possible for us to get these results that we desire. I might not speak for the whole party, but there's quite a couple of rotten members, and it's hard. I can't answer. I'm just telling you that you know the way it works in this country. even me imenishinda, but naweza fanya, ninafanya.
Nakuelewa. Asante sana bro. Thank you for coming.
Asante.
And I think we might agree or we must disagree, but always as pressure point we welcome everybody on our board because we want to hear both sides. If you say that we don't need this person here, you are not right because we need everybody. We need to, even as we are dialogue and we have a consensus and a way forward. So as pressure point team, we need that openness whereby we dialogue with anybody, and now that one make us get make us get what other people think also. But when we want to think the way we think only, then we will not have another thought of how to look at things. Japuonj, then Jojo Uda, and Constitutor. Hey, Constitutor, you've been here for a while. Ulipewa mic na ukapotea, lakini ukateta sana. Japuonj, go ahead in
Thank
the
you,
next two
thank you,
minutes.
Hillary.
Constitutor, then
Thank you.
Uda, then
Hey,
Wajiru.
Hillary, give me 4 minutes, please. Anyway, thank you, Hillary. Thank you, Abdi, and Samuel Ametoroka. Anyway, Hillary, I think Samuel said that he does not hold it does not hold brief for ODM. He does not even hold brief for Raila. He only hold brief for himself. So technically speaking, there's nothing he can do. So even if we ask him all these questions, nothing can happen. Even Raila himself does not hold brief for Ruto. Let's be honest here. He does not hold brief for Ruto. Ruto is his own person with 17 advisors, which he himself advises on how to advise him. So I think we need to draw that line because this guy, you can ask him anything for fun, but as he said, he just calls Raila and tells him, and he says that Raila already knows what is it that he wants to tell him. So on that note, let me say this. Ruto has called the Riots Act, and Raila is calling for dialogue. So which way, Gen Z? See, when Kasmuel is saying that he is sure that he will be on the table for dialogue, does that mean that he already has a list out? Which criteria was used? You know, these are things that I'm asking myself. He already saying that he will be on the table for that dialogue, and he's saying is the first time he'll be on the table representing who? Gen Z? I don't understand. Anyway, that's his own. That's why I'm saying Kasmuel is holding brief for himself. You know, if I think we have the power here, Hillary, to have brief with Raila himself and Ruto and understand from the horse's mouth. We don't want someone to talk on our behalf. You know, huh? The other thing is, who has the absolute power here? Yes, Raila has influence, but the buck stops with the president. What is this pride that is preventing the president from coming out bila use proxies, bila these proxies? Do we actually qualify to address Kasongo directly? Ama we are of the lesser gods? Because the way it seems, it's like Raila is the one pushing for this dialogue and Ruto himself is calling on the Riots Act, you know? What is his take on the dialogue? Kasongo himself. We ukimuuliza anasemaje? That is what we need. Is he even pro dialogue?
And
Is it
and and
out
your
of
point, that's
goodwill?
why I was
Eh?
saying that we all these things I think we are losing focus. And we are just
Yes.
waiting what people are saying, then we build on that, which is to me, I think is not right. We what is the state of the nation? We know what is happening. So no, what is our way forward? I think if we talk there and we put our conversation there, then we'll have a
Yes.
meaningful conversation and action plans and what we're doing. But when we're
Exactly.
discussing what these people are saying, then no need of even coming here. Then it is good for us to just listen to TV and doing things. I think that what is the action point? Let us not talk about a dialogue. Let us not. I don't think so. I just think that we need to focus of are we still on the course or now we want to join political parties and move on as usual. The
Yeah,
point. Finish your conversation.
thank you,
Yeah.
Hillary. Yeah, thank you for bringing it back on point. So Hillary, for me personally, I would say that there is no need for dialogue. 19 years, 26 dialogues, TGRC, name them all. They have all failed because they serve the elite interest. The outcome is the persistent non-trust with sentiments. You know, there is nothing that those 26 dialogues have done for 19 years. So what makes us think that this time it will be right? So the solutions are very easy. Number one, I call out for all Gen Zs take up the ID and the voters card. IEBC is functional. We have almost, I think, 12 to 15, I don't know the exact number, vacancies available in IEBC. Let's use that as a test. Let's not discuss about dialogues that will not happen. And the person we need to dialogue with is not even concerned. And they will tell you, I don't know about it. It's Raila who called the dialogue. I know how this system works politically. It's a blame game. So let's talk about action plan, take ID, prepare for, for the voters card and the voting, and let's have a structural plan. Hillary, I've been on the upfront talking about structural format of the Gen Z, but there has been a lot of divides, left, right, and center. They don't even agree to come together. There is no unity of purpose for Gen Z. I call it here without fear of contradiction. They are not ready to come together as one. They keep blaming each other, right, left, and center, and the accusations of being bought in government. And that is what I know for now.
Thank you,
Thank you so
sir.
much, Hilary. I will not take
Yeah.
much time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Consider, go ahead, and then go George, then Wanjiru.
Thank
2
you,
minutes.
Hilary. I know I've waited for so long, but thank you, at least for at long last.
No, give your point, bro. Just give your point.
Let
Yes.
me give my point. Us as Kenya, let me take collective responsibility. We have lost it because when you see a national leader going to another country like US, speaking in Kikuyu language, seriously, and it's a key figure in a national leader, we have lost it. Suppose somebody, when we are outside, we are Kenyans. You do not know our tribes. You do not know our tribe, sincere, to be sincere. Then you get somebody organizing a tribal concert in US. Seriously, you have lost it. Second, I like to say the truth and to state the truth. Us as Gen Z, we lost it long time ago. The means of communication, it's well stated even in our constitution. Dialogue, it is not in our constitution. But there is an email of presidency in the website of presidency. There's phone number of presidency. Whoever thinks that president is not doing good, do not wait for Raila Odinga every time we keep on saying that Raila Odinga has done this, has not done this. Raila Odinga is like your grandfather at home, who is 80 years. You have the email of president called feedback@president.go.ke. Send your feedback, send your concern there. Do not talk about Raila Odinga. Let somebody, do not talk about Raila Odinga here. Raila Odinga has said this, Raila Odinga has said this. You have the email of president, you can send your grievances there. Presidency is 5 years term, and you can recall him, you know the system very well. Collect the signature, recall your president. Thank you.
Thank you, Consider. George Uda.
Thank you, Hilary. Thank you, Abdi. And thank you, everyone. I'll be brief. And the thing is, somebody's talking about Gen Zs being divided and not coming to the Gen Zs are simply following up on their leaders. And their leaders, I don't mean political leaders or anybody. I mean the adults in the room called Kenya. We have bad manners. We don't expect anyone following us to have good manners. I start by that. Secondly, Hillary, I think we need to be honest with ourselves. In the eve of elections in Kenya, Raila was on the opposite direction. Everybody making noise here in this space, plus a big chunk of Kenya, possibly 3/4 of Kenya making noise. was on the opposite side of where Raila was. Today, millions are calling one name, Raila. When a few years ago, that Raila was on the other side, standing up and telling people, I'm here, I'm an option. And he was refused. The man has been in the ballot 5 times. He failed. He wasn't elected. Today, it is Raila. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because this is where we lose the war. This is where we lose the focus. Somebody saying we are losing a focus as a country going to speak one language. That's not wrong. There is nothing wrong about our tribes. We are demonizing our culture. There's nothing wrong in that. Do you know what is wrong? What is wrong is every minute we spend debating Raila is a minute we lose from fighting corruption. Every space we use to discuss his past is a space stolen from our future. That man is 80 years old, for heaven's sake. And by the way, every generation plays its part. That man and the likes of Paul Mwite, Gitobu Manyara played their part. They gave you the baton. The question is, what are you doing with the baton? And we also forget, growth is not betrayal. Stop calling something betrayal. The man has grown, is too big for whatever he did 20, 30, 10 years ago. And a revolution that does not allow people to evolve becomes a dictatorship of ideology. That is why when people speak here, they speak with a lot of anger and they forget they're becoming dictators. The man has evolved. Leave the man alone. What you need to do is to if the man talks about a conclave, Raila has talked, Ruto has not said anything. The rest of everybody has not said, and why is it a bother? Is he going to force everybody on the table to have a conclave? We are losing the point. Discussing a man alone, one man, and yet there are 21 cabinet secretaries seated pretty well in the government. Why are we not talking about them? There are 42 principal secretaries seated pretty well in the government from our backsides. We know them. We live with them. Why are we not asking them why they are still in the government? They are there seated, drawing huge salaries every month. That is the government. They're our uncles. We don't talk about it because they give us, we benefit from them. And we look for the simplest way. The first thing this country needs to do as I land, the 8 million people who chose Ruto must first of all apologize. They shouldn't be the ones who are bleeding more on the people who didn't choose Ruto. Apologize to the country first, then the dialogue can start from there. You can't change the roles and want people to just move easily like that because you're the majority. No. What have you done on the part of what you did? The Gen Zs are told they don't vote much. These people have shown you they can do it. But the majority of adults are misleading them, are calling them names. The next election is going to be different. And that's why I agree while I learn. It is good for the Gen Zs to take IDs. This time round, Gen Zs, go sit after you cast your vote, guard your vote there. Wait for it to be counted. It will count. Show them the difference between talking and doing. The people are talking too much from the point of anger because something they expected didn't happen. Ruto promised people so much. He didn't deliver. Those people he promised are the ones who are bleeding so much, and they're misleading people in some of the things they're saying. I yield.
Thank you so much. I think you give a way forward that Gen Z, it is high time take this state and also take action points, and that's the plan. When we talk about these people, they play their role, and when we dwell on them, then we lose focus. And that's my point always, saying that now we are calling ourselves names, we are calling ours, people are rebranding themselves. Is this the point that we were in before, or we are missing the mark? Just the question that should be on our mind. Young people, it is our time. And also, last time you didn't vote Focus on that. Let us vote. Let us have voting card. Let us verify our voters and let us bring change. When we need change, even the system to change, we cannot change this thing if we are not inside. When we are outside, then we'll be just noise makers. We'll come to the spaces making noise, but there's no action plan. Wanjiru,
Yeah, thank you so much, Hilary. Unachukua literally 1 minute. I just want to say I don't want us to entertain that dialogue thing. It's not something we should be entertaining at the high time where we are saying Ruto should actually go home. Putting a dialogue right now and talking about conclave, we should be in the inside. These are discussions where we are buying Ruto time to kill us more. Let's not entertain dialogue. Let's keep on pushing our MP, recalling our MPs to impeach Ruto to go home. So my point is Ruto must go. My point is our biggest and greatest enemy of this country is William Samoei Ruto and his government and the bad governance that he has. If the government was working for us, we wouldn't be here talking about dialogue this, killing that, buying wheelchair there. We would be having a nation which is working for literally everybody else. So my point tonight is Ruto must go. Let's keep that back in our mind that the genesis of all this that started way back last year was Ruto. How can we actually make him go? One of our action planners, Hillary, keeps saying, let's recall our MPs. We start with Esther Passaris, we go to Kimani Ichung'wah, we go to another one. After we are done, if after you even impeach 3 MPs or 4, we will have to take we have to take our power back. They realize by the way hawa watu wanaweza tu impeach na tuende nyumbani. We've pushed those MPs to impeaching Ruto. Because until when will we continue crying our kids are getting killed, wanaitwa terrorist, wanafungwa. Others are taking advantage to even rise to political power using us. Hatutatutumika vijana, tusitumike. Msitumike tafadhali. Ati now you start discussing characters here. Hapana, msijaribu kutumika to speak about characters, to speak about issues that don't matter, to speak about na sasa Ruto akienda nani next? Ruto akienda nani next, hiyo swali tutajibu baadaye, because saizi when you start asking who what next after Ruto goes, now we have to start preparing. You're buying time for Ruto. You're buying time for Ruto to continue. Now we'll have another space. Who next? Who next? Who next? You start buying time for us to be killed. You start buying time for us to be taxed. You start buying time for us to go to hell. You start buying time for everything wrong. So Ruto must go. And thank you, Hilary.
thank you so much, Wanjiru. Thank you so much, Steve. Steve, 2 minutes.
Sorry, I was on mute. Thank you, Hillary, and thank you for those who made contribution tonight. What I wanted to point out is that hii ni serikali ambayo tumekuja kujua ni serikali ya vipindi, serikali ya psyops and propaganda. That's what they do. And this particular one, if you can't see through it, I saw people talking about the Nelson Koech one, that he said that Ruto amesema shoot the leg, mi nasema shoot to kill. You guys should have seen through that. That was just a red herring to make watu aongea the more outrageous things so that people now react towards him. Wasahau what Ruto said. That was planned. Akaambiwa ende ongea the next day. You could see even the way he was talking about it vehemently, demonstratively, almost overacting. Now people got they hooked it line and sinker, and they went after the MP. Wakasahau what Ruto had said, which was the original crime. So tusikue watu wakuchase after these things. So what I would like to say is this. Now, sisi millennials, mimi I'm a millennial, and our Gen X, tusianze kulaumu Gen Z for what they've done. These guys already have demonstrated that politics can be handled by the common person. All along tumekuwa tukifuata our political leaders, that when they sit at the table and they make decisions, tunafuata what they say. But Gen Z have come wakaambia Raila kaa kando. Who would have said that? That was genius. I mean, kama ingekuwa millennials na Gen X walikuwa hiyo protest ya last year, tungeenda tata tutafute Raila, tumleta tuseme Raila, speak on our behalf, because that's what we're used to. Lakini Gen Z wanakuja wakasema kaa kando, we can speak for ourselves. That is the most liberating thing that has happened in politics in Kenya. So that's why we are on this express tonight without a politician.
because we know that we can actually do something that can affect how our politics runs. So what should we do then? But let's blame Gen Z. Let us see how we Gen X, we millennials can actually start bringing that organization that we see is lacking in the movement. Because Gen Z hawana shida, wamesema we can say it's Gen zote, wamekubali. So what have we done? Are we still blaming them for lack of organization? We should be there as adults in the room. We should come together and try to bring some form of order that can help us be able to root out Ruto in 2027. About the conversations with Ruto, I'm a no to that. We're not going to sit down and speak to someone who does not respect the constitution. So you think that if he does not respect the constitution, he's going to respect some MOU that you draft on a table with him? If he has not respected the 10-point agenda, your ODM, that is just barely 6 months old, is he now going to respect a newly formed another 10-point agenda, discussing the same things over and over again? How can you as sheep sit down with on the table of a fisi, of a hyena, to discuss about your welfare? This guy has proven that he does not care. He does not care a hoot about the constitution. He does not value human life. He does not care about human life. And there is someone you want to sit on a table who tells you that ukienda kwa hiyo negotiation table, you inject properly, the way I'm doing right now, utafika home safe. Because abductions are still going on, killings are still, utaenda huko inject, hata utafika nyumbani. And then you say you want to negotiate with such a person because he does not respect human life, and he has shown that over and over again. And so we have to stay out. I saw Kasma Lea amekuwa akiongea about he's on his way to see the Pharaoh, and he's telling us amepitia kwa where we are, sisi long suffering people, Israelites wenye tuko kwa macamps, amekuja kutuambia guys, I'm on the way to see the Pharaoh, and I just want your blessings. That's what it basically came to do in this forum tonight. Na amepata tukimwambia no, we have seen you before shaking the bloody hands of that Pharaoh, and you're almost bending before him. We know you cannot trust you to go and speak on our behalf. Na tumemkataza. And so he got off the space. Guys, there's no negotiation with the Pharaoh that we're going to do apart from saying, let my people go. We are leaving, whether you like it or not. And that is the kind of spirit we need to have. Now, you can see what he's doing. They're trying to hold this conversation in this year, 2025, August, so that, and for those of you who doubt it's going to happen, I tell you what, he's going to bulldoze through it. What he's trying to do is to make sure that we don't cross into next year without an adequate sort of dialogue that sort of controls the political temperatures so that we get closer to 2027, knowing that the closer we get to 2027, the more likely people are going to resume street protest. So he's just buying time, basically, and we can see through it. But in terms of organization, I would say let us organize, let us work together. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Steve, for your contribution. But guys, I usually say that when you say something, let us stick to that and be a principled person, and also um, be a conscious. Sometimes we act on emotions, and that's why we make a wrong decision. I think Jojo does say something that I would like to echo also. That sometimes even voting, we vote with emotions, and when we do that, then we lose it. And when we see the problem, we start blaming ourselves, start blaming people. But that is not the point. The point here is we have seen what is wrong. We need to go to the right direction. So we not need to even dwell on the things that is happening across and everything, because you're seeing this thing all the time. Tomorrow we will hear other things coming in. Oh, sijui nini, oh, cousins, oh, these are the things that kasikia watu wengine wanajiita cousin, kwani hatukuwa cousin before. And these are the things that they bring to us and get into our heads, and then we start losing the focus. Dr. Idris, I want to give you exactly 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Hillary, and thank you, other people. Let me go straight to the point that Kenya does not need, that Kenya needs a political evolution, but not deception. Kenya right now is at a turning point, and the youths have awakened and no longer willing to be manipulated. The so-called the national conclave, I think it is just something to mislead us, because these people, they're trying to manipulate us using the old narrative and using the old political tactics. To me, I don't agree with the national dialogue or the national conclave, because we have seen those conclave before and nothing has bear fruits. What we need right now is a political evolution a break from the past and not a remix of it. So, on the point of the state of the nation, one thing I am thinking about is it is a high time as the Gen Zs, as the millennials, and the rest of the members of this country to think about the future of this country because we have been there before. This is a government that does not care about its citizens. This is a government that does not care about the future of this country. Raila Odinga had been in various governments, starting from Moi up to this one. So we need this country need what we call political evolution. We need to shed the old skin and adapt the new skin. We need to leave these old politicians because these are the people who had been dragging us back. So it is my plea to us, the Gen Zs, the millennials, and all other Kenyans. Let's focus on one thing. Kasongo must go. In order
Thank
for
you.
us to make
Mhm.
sure that Kasongo must go, let's take our ID, let's take our electoral card. Thank you. I yield.
Hillary, are you speaking?
Tabi nasikia Idris.
Idris dropped.
Yes, I can hear. No,
Okay.
Idris amedrop.
General China, 1 minute, then Beatrice, then Budangori, then Donyo.
Thank you very much. I hope I'm very clear. So, the future of this nation cannot depend on dialogue. So, the conclave dialogue we have seen how it has been structured, how the people have been called. So, we young people, we single ourselves from that conclave dialogue. You can just engage the clergy and the elderly that will be able to attend that, the so-called dialogue. We are not after that. Thus, we are after changing this government. And I'm seeing so much people, very many people are against us, saying that the way we are doing our stuff whatsoever, with us, we don't like long processes. Like you tell us, this one will take these months, this one will take 2 years, this one we like things that are going faster. That is why we always think of the simplest way of sending this guy home.
General China, what is happening? Ah, man. Beatrice, go ahead.
Thank you, Hillary. I want to throw in a spanner. I know here we've talked about dialogues, we've talked about root of these, we have talked about politicians and all that. But I would like to say that the reason where we are right now was predicted by a philosopher called Socrates when he talked about democracy. Yeah, where he says one of the fears he had about democracy is demagogues arising and manipulating the people, and majority of the people lacking wisdom on how to go about politics will end up just voting, through populism. And then we see in the late 19th century, around to the early 20th century, we saw, nationalism, those socialism coming up. But majority of the time, it was more of popularism. So people who had virtues or who are thinkers were not actually, they were slowly swallowed down the line. They could not come up to participate in most of these politics, and those who are popular were the ones who are getting voted. So in the modern day Kenya, that is what we are struggling with, and that's why we keep insisting we have a political and an economical problem. But because we have already embraced democracy, what we need to ask ourselves is how do we go around the fear Socrates had and ensure that the people we put into power are people who are knowledgeable and they have virtues. In essence, what am I saying? I want to challenge each and every one of us. We need to be a thinking nation. We need to move away from politicians who give us tokens. Those ones who just promise us, I'll put for you a cattle dip, I'll put for you roads, I'll put for you for a hospital. Those tokens, those like goodies. Like we are like waiting, we are stretching our hands, waiting for politicians to trickle down all these goodies upon us. And this is what has brought this problem. So the competition comes, whoever speaks, big goodies, like the way William Ruto came and lied to us. I'll give free Wi-Fi, diapers will be free, pads will be free. Those are goodies. And here, Kenya, majority of the Kenyans went and decided to vote in that, and look where we are at. So now we need to shift to a level of a thinking nation. Now, when someone comes and tells us, I'm going to digitize this country, they need to tell us how, so that we can know what is the thinking capacity of this individual. When somebody says, I'm going to ensure there'll be 1 million SMEs happening in this country, they need to tell us how, in terms of regulations, in terms of policies, what are you going to do? Not just telling us 100 SMEs, I'm going to create 1 million jobs, I'm going to, and then you come and tell us through housing levy, or through building of houses. So how sustainable is that? So we need to start challenging each and every one of us. So I've had people here saying we're going to recall MPs. That's a good thing, and impeach them. Then ensure the people you replace them are thinking people who have a broad vision. Because let me tell you, the art of thinking is a difficult one, and most people do not like engaging. Like today we saw in Roiro, I think it was the deputy president and an MP. They went to they called it empowerment, and they went with border, went with those machines, tractors, and all that. But you see, the people they were going to award those empowerment tools, the portion mills, and all those things, they had pre-selected these individuals to attend that event. But shock on them, the youth came and created chaos in that place and took away all those things they were calling for empowerment. So that if this is PR, today the youth told them, "Amtafanya PR na sisi. We are going to take these things away." But let me ask you, so if that individual has taken that ndudi or that portion meal, then what? Because that's a goodie, then what? What happens next? So how does that solve their problem in the long run? So I think where we are at, for me, my suggestion is that once we decide to go in a certain direction, each and every individual of us, you could be there in the US, you could be there in the boardroom, you could be wherever. Can we start doing what we call the thinking bits? And then moving forward, we need to sensitize the populace, because we already here, as Socrates had prophesied. But now we need to start challenging people. So when they tell you nitaleta maji hapa, which philosophy is that person going to apply to ensure that water will be here with us, but also in the long run going to be used by generations to come? When someone comes and says, I'm going to ensure there will be free education or free university education, what is the philosophy guiding that individual to ensure what is backing them? Are they looking at the tenders they are going to give the individuals? Yeah, today I had like someone like Miguna saying the reason why he supported Uhuru, William Ruto, is so that he can come back to Kenya, because that's the only way he could have come back to Kenya, because had he supported Raila Hangawai Rudi Kenya. So in essence, he supported that guy so that he can come back to Kenya. You see, some of these things we actually argue, and you look at, so for you voted for Ruto for self-preservation. So, and these are the thinking minds we are expecting in this country. So I'm challenging us, let's now move into a thinking nation. Anybody who desires to be that leader, anybody who desires to lead a nation or lead a group, even leading a corporation or even leading a parastatal, so that when we get these politicians or these MPs, when they vet these people, like someone is voted in or suggested to be the chairman of a certain parastatal, when he comes on board, we should ask hard questions, forcing this person to think on how are you going to ensure this parastatal does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And
Okay.
that can only happen when we vote in MPs who are actually thinkers. So that was the challenge I wanted to pose us as we continue
Thank you
discussing.
so much. Thank you so much. But I think people, you should stick to the state of the nation. Today I've just listened to people. We're just sijui nini imeitwa, sijui nini, and that's why we lose focus. I think the focus is state of the nation, and the state of the nation. I think you, Beatrice, for thinking that we need to think of the state of the nation, not individuals, and that's where we live. We leave the impact, and then watu watakuja hapa tunakosa tuka hakuna job. There's no job anywhere, so it will take us time. Budangori, 2 minutes. I mean 2 minutes.
Hillary, thank you for this opportunity, and I'm glad that you've created an environment in which people have been able to speak freely and share their beliefs. And for once, I just want to be the devil's advocate. So even if somebody will lynch me later, then so be it. But the question I really want to ask, because sometimes I remember there was a time I went to a barber shop and there were two police officers who were talking about Ruto must go. And I asked this, I just stayed quiet for some time when they were talking about Ruto must go. And then later on, I asked them, why are you saying that Ruto must go? And they told me because he's corrupt. And these are the police officers that I've followed for quite some time. And I know their records when it comes to corruption. And so I asked them, is there anybody in this room who is not corrupt? Let's start with us. Is there anybody in this room? Let's say we are stoning Ruto right now, who can say, yes, I'm I'm not corrupt, so I'm the first person to cast the stone. And that question was not answered. People ended up laughing. They were wondering how it was possible for me to ask a police officer such questions. And I'm coming back to something more interesting, because then somebody tells you, Ruto is a liar. And then I ask myself, some of the people who are actually talking about Ruto being a liar actually believes in Wamunyoro, who is also a pathological liar. And then I ask myself, are these people really serious when they are talking about change? You know, in Kenya, we don't want change. What we want is to be on the right side of things. The change, we are only talking about change depending on whether we are on the side that things are, or we are not, or we are on the wrong side. This is what we mean, because Nani, calm down, forget about social media, calm down and listen to young people out here, the so-called Gen Zs. They are tribal. They will tell you, oh, I'm behind Amnyoro, I'm behind Babu. And if you look at them, most of their choices are purely based on their tribe. And somebody will tell you, Mimi, if it's not Nani, let me tell you, let us go back to one critical thing that is causing problem in Kenya. There is a problem between Luos and the Kikuyus. If we truly want change, let's put these two tribes outside of hii uchaguzi inakuja, so that we don't have a situation where you tell us, okay, either it's going to Matiang'i, then when Wamunyoro has to be the deputy president because they have the numbers, or if it is somebody from Meru, then Jaluo has to be the deputy because they have the numbers. There is a problem, all the problem that we face as a nation
Budangori, 30 seconds.
inatokana kwa kabila mbili, Luos and Kikuyus. Forget about kizungu mingi tunajaribu kuambiwa hapa, oh, change. There is nobody who wants change because you've been asking them again and again, what are the action points? Nobody is telling you that you ask what is the way forward. Nobody is telling you that. All they are telling you, Ruto must go. You see, that is not a solution. So the problem is this: if you want Kenya to change, let's just put Luos. I'm a Luo, of course. I'm a proud Luo, but let's put just Luos and Kikuyu aside. 2027,
And
we
that's
elect.
the problem. That's the problem, Budangori, because you are taking us back, and that's what I will not allow it.
No, no,
People
no,
are
no,
talking
no.
this.
This
No,
point,
no, 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 no,
this,
no, 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 no. Go ahead, Ronyo. 2 minutes.
Thank you so much, Hillary, for the time. Hillary, you're saying very well. I think we are wasting a lot of time concentrating on who is who, and we are losing the focus. We were waiting for the IBC to be reconstituted, and we should use it as a litmus paper by recalling the MP. Someone should not tell us that it's not possible. And again,
whether Raila says whatever he wants to say, whether Munyoro says whatever he wants to say, we should not lose the focus, because all these things about who is right, who is not right, we are united. Let those people who are saying that we are not united, let them go to whatever they want. But we are united, and our focus is to restore the dignity of our country. And we should not be intimidated, or we should not be led astray by anybody else. So we are united, and that's the narrative they are trying to sell, is the narrative of tribalism. They are seeing it's not working. They are selling the tribal. They tried the religion side, it's not working. Now they tried the poverty side, it's not working. Now they are trying the fear side, it will not work. So let's stay united and stay focused, and let's not delay in pushing for good governance. Thank you so much, Hilary.
Thank you so much. Let's talk, Tabi.
Thank you very much. We have a lot of people who have not yet taken the mic, but maybe just to add on what Hillary is calling, let's give the way forward, because I think this back and forth, we are not getting anywhere. We're not getting ahead. So what we need is I see people calling for dialogue. Dialogue about what? For what? For who? So let's, because we have IEBC in place. And what we need right now is what we've been calling. I think a number of us have been calling for what? For impeachment, to recall our MPs, those who do not listen to our voices, those who do not represent our wishes. How do we recall them? That is what we should be working on. What is the procedure to recall an MP? That is what we should be discussing, not about the impossibilities. Because if we wait for 2027, the people who are agitating are the minority in terms of the voting bloc. Our mothers, the ones who have the voting cards, they are the ones that are going to be aligned according to to tribal lines, and they will fall for, I don't know, the Munyoro, Matiangi, and the Railas. So we do not have hope for 2027. If we wait for 2027, Ruto will come back again, because again the people who have the voice to speak out, who see the reality of life, are the Gen Zs. These are the minority in terms of the voting bloc. So 2027, we do not have faith with it. I do not have faith for 2027. 2027, Ruto has a chance of coming back, because the people who are making noise are not the majority in terms of the voting bloc. Gen Z do not have IDs. I mean, they do not have IDs, and their voting cards will be delayed. So that is not a solution. 2027 is not a solution. The only solution we have right now is the voice that we had in June 2024. The same voice that we had when we shut down the finance bill. That's the same voice that you can still use to recall our MPs. That's the same voice you can use even to throw Ruto out of government. The way forward, I think the constitution stipulates on, because Ruto can also resign on his own volition. Si lazima akuwe impeached, anaweza jitoa. So kwani kutakuwa na vacant? Because I don't know, watu wanashindwa kutakuwa aje when Ruto resign, ama tukimtoa, what happens? Is it the military? I think the constitution has a way forward on how to how we can go forward. So I think we can continue to listen to other speakers. Nani hajaongea? I have not heard
Yeah, let us give
Kairu.
Abdi, and let's just comment.
Oh, Abdi here. Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. We can do the closing statements. I think, Hillary, I absolutely agree.
Just do that. Do that. We've been here for more
Conditional.
than 4 hours.
Yeah. There is a conditional means like impeachment, a recall, or public pressure. There is a constitutional path to remove an MP or a sitting president. I think let's focus our energy on these legal and structural tools. If we want accountability, we must use the mechanism already in the constitution to reclaim power from those who abuse it. I think the people hold power, but it must be organized, lawful, and